Welcome to Sea Sparkles Corner. This is my mom, Sylvia Thompson. She's going to talk about something interesting.
Alrighty. Donna thought you might find it interesting that when I was a child, as soon as I got old enough to earn money, in those days, all us children got our little earned money. I got a nickel or a dime every time I did granddad and grandma's, because they were very old. And in those days, we had our ice boxes weren't ice boxes. They were a steel box like this,
Careful.
and I would go up there every day and clean the house and empty it out because the Bill would. His name was Bill. He was a farm owner, and he took care of getting the ice. And he came every morning and brought it. And in those days, it wasn't in the house yet. It was you had it outside in the window, and it was only good when it was cold. The rest of the time, you couldn't buy anything like that. You had to go without. And then, when I was about 12 or 14, a granddad and grandma and mom and dad, they both got the first refrigerators in the house. And they were not refrigerators the way we call them. They were wooden things that came in on, like a stand. And you opened the two doors, and they were wooden doors, and you put the ice in one side, and the other side you had a little room to keep your absolute bare necessities. And then when I was about 13 or 14, Daddy and Mama finally bought the first refrigerator. And that was so noisy you could hear it in the whole house. But see, Dad and I were building our house. Daddy bought the land when he married Mama, and we put it. Daddy had an army tent that he put after he got the floor, the inside floor.
Excuse me. What did the first refrigerator look like? You said it was a box, and then you got another one after that. So what did it look like?
Tin. The first box was thin tin, and it had a thing like this, and it just went down and up one piece. That was the one that was in the window.
Okay.
But it was outside. But then you had to pick up the window, and then you had to pick up the front thing, and that was all tin in those days. Aluminum or whatever you call it. And then the second one was made a little bit better. That was still outside. And then the third one came in, and that was all made of wood. And then the left side only had two doors, that's all it was. It was about yay wide. And you opened it up, and inside one little cubby hole, big enough for ice, about this big. And in those days, they cost 5 cents for a piece of ice, and then every day I got more and more money. But then there was only room for maybe a quart of milk in the other side, because it wasn't big. And gradually, as the years went, we got it better and better, as they made them more. Because in the cellar, we had dirt cellars in those days. And I went in the cellar to, to candle the eggs every morning before I went to school, because we had 20,000 chickens, and I had to candle all those eggs. And the candle, nobody know today. You don't even know what it is.
You've talked about candling eggs before.
Yeah, I probably did. Yeah. But the refrigerators, I don't think we had electric refrigerators until I was about 14 or 15. Because when I was 14 and 15, I was putting bricks, carrying them up in the ladders to put on the chimney. And Dad and I built that chimney on the top of the house. And that house today is still standing. So, until Dad and Mom sold it and went to live to another state, that's when Dad retired.
So when did you get when did you get what we consider to be refrigerated today? I know it would be smaller and different, weird size. When did you get the first refrigerator that actually plugged in?
Okay,
So
it was
you would
it
stop
was
getting
about
ice.
on me. It was about this high and about this wide. Granddad and Grandma got that first, and then later on, Mom and Dad got one the same thing, but a little bit bigger, but not higher. So in those days, everything was changing every year, so they were always getting things, you know. But I mean, when I was about 8 or 10 years old, I had to cure butter, sit on the porch outside, and press. And I did that with the ice cream. We couldn't buy ice cream in a store until I got about 12 or 13. Then they had it. So I mean, it was in my day. It was all building. Like there was no such thing as a car at the beginning. And then the first car my grandfather had, he would never drive it, and it was in the barn where I went in, and us children when we were little, we go in there and play in Granddad's car. And you know what? Today that would have been worth $150 that car, and it sat there all those years. When my grandparents were alive, Granddad was too nervous to drive it. It sat in Mom and Dad's barn, and us children used to play house in it when we were kids. And get it, the car was all lined with velvet in the inside, and it had glass windows, and it had shades on it, and these cloth things with bells on you. You pulled up and down the windows, and it sat in there, and nobody rode it.
So you used a horse and buggy before, preferred
Oh,
that
Dad,
to a car.
Dad, to take us children to school, I couldn't get on it because we lived exactly 3 miles from the school. I had to walk, even when it was 50 below zero. Daddy took the children when it first opened the schools. Daddy took them with a horse and buggy, and he walked right by me every morning and afternoon to pick up the children and take them to school. And I couldn't ride on it, even when it was 50 below and it was snowing. And I got mad at my father one time. I said, "It's not fair. You go right by, and yet I can't even ride the damn thing." But that's the way the things were when the schools first opened, you know.
Still like that today.
Yeah. And I had to wear a snowsuit to school because it was so cold. And then I had to walk home for lunch. Snowsuit, any kind of weather, pouring rain. I wasn't, because they
Why
had.
didn't Nana just pack you a lunch?
Oh, that wasn't allowed. There was no meals at school when I was
You
young.
couldn't have packed like a sandwich.
Yeah, some of them that lived more than 3 miles couldn't go home to lunch, and the only thing they did is Bill Miller, who brought our ice. He came and brought chocolate milk and vanilla milk in little glass containers to the children to have with their sandwich at lunch, because there was no such thing as food or anything at school. And we went to school from 7:15 in the morning till 5:15 at night. And we had one recess, 20 minutes for lunch, and we had 20 minutes in the morning and afternoon.
Better than what we had when we were
And
in
it was a
school.
dirt cellar. The school is a wooden old piece of thing. No sports. We played out in the yard where it was full of grass. Played football and baseball on our own. And we had another thing. We had a hole in the ground in the cellar for a bathroom. And there was nothing around it. You had to go in. And there was about 8 of them, us children lined up and went to the bathroom in them. And every night they had to clean them out.
Gross.
Well, that was years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I'm 91 years old now.
I know.
And since then, they put in a new school in a different area. That's gone.
Of course. There's more people in the
And there
world
were
now.
and we had us children, mind you. I was in 2nd grade, and we had to go 3 flights of wooden stairs to get to the 2nd floor. That's when we were in 2nd
Okay.
grade.
What did disabled children do?
There wasn't any in school.
So there was nobody no child in a
Well,
wheelchair.
if memory serves me right, I think there was one little girl that was brought and sat in the seat in the same way. And then somebody came and picked her up. I think there was a nurse on duty part-time, and there was what they called the one who, and they had a little office in there with a nice wooden paddle. And every time the boys did something, you could hear them screaming. They went and beat them up with a paddle.
God,
That years later, that's finally stopped.
thank goodness for that.
And that's all it was. It was nothing. And you weren't allowed to go to the bathroom either during school. And we went long, long hours.
What happened if somebody was ill?
Well, they called
children will get sick. Anybody can get sick at any time.
Oh yeah, they called in a school nurse, it's called. And all she did was put him in the car and take him home. That's all she was allowed to do. Didn't happen very often though. I never got sick.
But anybody can.
Yeah. I can remember at least one or two little girls, and maybe a boy or two at different ages. They did that all because remember there was no second grade at that school, and there was no sixth grade and there was no eighth grade. We had to go to City Mills for second, sixth, and eighth grades. We had to take the bus. That's how I got hit by a car in grade second. In those days, cars went right by when they passed a school bus. I had to take a school bus to the second grade, and sixth grade and eighth grade. It's all different now. It's all gone.
It's better now.
And see, I had second grade 2 years, sixth grade and eighth grade, because they didn't have enough teachers to go around. So we had the same years, so we all got all A's those years. That's it. It's boring after a while.
Okay. Thank you for watching, and that was my mother sharing was supposed to be sticking to the refrigerator plus other things. My mother's life, and hope you all enjoy it. And as always, the fun never ends in Seasparkles.
Did I ever tell her we got our first
subscribe.
television when I was 14?
Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.